Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to Beyond's Morning News Drive. No news today on this stormy Saturday morning on September 9th that it is. We're going to talk about the CX-90, the reviews that are coming in on that. Now, I have done a short review on that, a quick drive impression. That link is right there, but hadn't had a CX-90 for long enough to do an assessment like we like to do here on Beyond the Test Drive. Driven them plenty of times now, so definitely have some opinions. And 3 reviews that I want to point out that have dropped in the last week or so, or last month or so. The big one this past week, though, was SavageGeese. Mark and Jack dropped theirs, and as expected, they did an incredible deep dive into the CX-90. So, I'll leave a link to that down in the description. Go check that out. And there's just a lot of great info in there that I want to chat about real quickly. And that's, first thing, kudos to Mazda for giving them that kind of access, the engineers to talk about why they did what they did. There is a little bit of marketing mumbo jumbo in there, but in generally, they truly believe in everything that they've done. And Mazda, is and again, this is why I like Mazda so much. They are unapologetic about some of the trade-offs they make to create a good driving car versus just doing a cookie cutter, and copying all the other 3 rows out there. So I'm going to give them a big kudos to that. But if you check out SavageGeese, one of the things that, they're very neutral about the CX-90 right now. They did report some issues with the 6-cylinder, some driveline shutter. I had never experienced that in any of the ones that I have driven. However, I will tell you, some of the hesitation and some of the quirkiness, I would call it quirkiness with the transmission, is definitely something that everybody is genuinely pointing out. And I think Mazda with time will get that sorted with some software. However, they did point out that first and second gear on that 8-speed is incredibly low gearing to get that thing going. And then when you get through 3rd through 8th gears, it's pretty much like the 6-speed in the CX-9. It's just that 6th or 8th gear is much taller for fuel efficiency out on the highway. One thing I found interesting in that video is the fact that they did not go outside for an 8-speed, like out to ZF or something. They just said the torque converter was going to cause them a packaging problem, so they kept everything inside of Mazda. They wanted to control everything about the car and the drivetrain, so they came up with their own 8-speed, and they made it, that wet clutch, got rid of the torque converter, and that packaged a lot better for what they were trying to do from a handling dynamics standpoint. So I thought that was really good. The other thing they said is they tried to benchmark the CX-90 against a lot of the competition, but they couldn't really find anything in the mainstream, so they ended up benchmarking it against the CX-9. So I thought that was also pretty interesting. So I kind of feel a little bit like Mark in that review. I need to spend a lot more time with the CX-90 to kind of figure out, it's a different driving experience. I do like the 6-cylinder. I think it's great. Now, one of the things you're starting to see in some of the reviews, some of the online forums, some of the owners groups, is it looks like Mazda has achieved what they've wanted to do as far as fuel economy. I mean, I can't, people tend to talk about their car's fuel economy like when they catch a fish. They exaggerate a little bit, but there are some good stories, or at least some good evidence in some of the reviews, that it is meeting or even exceeding the EPA numbers, especially out on the highway. And that would be a first for Mazda. Mazda's not known to be competitive with their fuel efficiency, so that's a big thumbs up. The other thing that I suspected, and that's that there's growing interest in that plug-in hybrid, and when I drove that one, I said that this is an intriguing vehicle, and this is going to be an interesting product for Mazda. The other thing I'll point out is there still seems, amongst all the reviewers, some confusion about how Mazda has priced the CX-90. All you hear is that it's so expensive. It's, this thing is up there at $60,000, and it's a two-tiered. It is a two-tiered pricing. They have the 40 to 50 to compete with the mainstream, and then they have the 50 to 60 to undercut the more the premium brands, the Lexus, MDX, BMW. So they're doing, so if you stick in the 40 to 50 range you know, that's right in there. So Mazda's given two choices. They've given two pricing tiers. Again, we're gonna see, you know, again, Mazda was pretty unapologetic about making it firmer riding, about not making it huge, and focusing on driving dynamics. They were not out there to create the most spacious and soft and comfortable 3-row. And I am hoping that they will attract some buyers to the Mazda brand. And one of the things I think they do have going with them for the CX-90 that they did not have with the CX-9 is all those CX-5 buyers, owners out there that are going to need something. The CX-5 has been an incredible hit. They've created a lot of Mazda fans with that, and they may need something bigger. So maybe the CX-90 will keep them in family. All right, let's get to two other reviews that have popped up recently. The first one, you know, Scotty Kilmer, I watch his stuff. I've always liked his stuff, you know, with a critical eye. You know, I really don't like his clickbaity thumbnails that he does. But here's a guy who loves simplicity, who loves Toyota for their simplicity and reliability. Now, he didn't do a review of the CX-90, but he did put a segment out on it, and he loved it. He loved how it drove. He loved the fuel economy. He loved how it looked. He did not say one thing about the complexity of that 8-speed and 6-speed and inline 6 turbo. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought when I clicked on it, I thought he was going to hate it. I thought he was going to point out everything as far as the complexity of the CX-90 and just go, but he is a Mazda sympathizer, and I admit to being the same thing. So anyway, he has that little section out there on it. And then the third one to point out is Car Care Nut. He just went, you know, he did the greatest, you know, he always does a great job of just tearing down the mechanical construction of cars, and he has a boatload of information on the CX-90's drivetrain. And to be honest, he's kind of spooking some people because of the concern with any type of major engine repair, how that engine is sorted behind the axles way back into the car, that it would be an engine out operation to get to the timing chains. There's multiple cooling systems. He does not like that it's a mild hybrid. So, but he likes everything else about the car. And then he brought up the fact that there's no rear sway bar and that the thing wallows a little bit. And even Dave Coleman mentioned how they do their kinematic posture control. There is some roll with the body, and Mazdas always have that. The CX-9 does have roll. I would say it's a little, maybe even a tad less wallowy than the CX-90, but you know, that just can be just my imagination. So anyway, I don't, you know, engine out, timing chain, that timing chains are typically a lifetime item anyway. So anyway, but it's a great video to find out how they put together the CX-90. So I'm a big fan of the CX-90. I'm rooting for Mazda. Hopefully we can get our hands on one for a more thorough review. But all the reviews are out there. Always watch them with a critical eye. There's some marketing in almost every one of the big YouTubers' reviews. But you know, the good ones would be Redline. He does a great job of just going over all the features. And again, you know, the SavageGeese guys just give you all the info. So we'll stay tuned with what they want to, you know, we'll stay tuned as they get more time with it. Again, the Mazda engineers, you know, they gave their all on this thing. It's very, very apparent that they are all in on the CX-90, and they need it to be successful. So there you go today on today's morning news drive. But let us know what you think. If you own a CX-90, we'd love to get the dialogue going with you. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely comment below. Like and subscribe, and have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be.